Welcome to Module 1, Lesson number 2, Using Reference Materials to Determine the Meaning of Words. Here are some of our learning goals. To know the difference between connotation and denotation, and understand how multiple meanings of words are important to expression and comprehension. To use word parts, word relationships, and context clues to determine the meaning of unknown words and phrases. And to know the different types of context clues. So did you know that words can have both a connotative meaning and a denotative meaning? Let's take a look at an example. What does the word gray mean? Well, if you reference the dictionary, the word gray actually can be defined as a shade between black and white or a mixture of black and white. In contrast, how does this word make you feel, the word gray? What thoughts and ideas do you happen to associate with this word? So when asked, what does the word gray make you feel? Or what thoughts and ideas do you associate with the word gray? You might be thinking or feeling sadness, or feel cold. Or a response might be, to me, gray might mean a cloudy day. So, what exactly is denotation and connotation? And what's the difference? Well, denotation means the literal or dictionary definition of a word, whereas connotation is an idea or feeling that a word invokes in addition to its literal or primary meaning. Imagine that you were in charge of naming your sports team. Of this list of words, which ones would you prefer your team to be named? Turtles, sharks, Vikings, Trojans, Chiefs, sloths, trees, or lions? You might be thinking that you would want to name your team's name Sharks, Vikings, Trojans, Chiefs, or Lions because these names most likely evoke feelings of assertiveness, competitiveness, or encourages feelings of spirit. On that same list, probably turtles, sloths, and trees would not be your first thought of a team name. That might be because these names evoke feelings of slowness or lack of productivity and movement. Now let's look at words with multiple meanings. Now sometimes words can have multiple meanings. Therefore, it is really important to know the context that the word is used to determine how it should be interpreted. For example, let's take a look at these list of words with multiple meanings. Bark, bat, bright, address, express, and fair, just to name a few. The words that I read to you are examples of homonyms. Homonyms are words that do have multiple meanings, but they are oftentimes spelled the same and sound alike. Let's look at this example. When I went to the mailbox, there was a circular letter sent to me asking for support. And in the second sentence, the two sisters continued their circular argument that the parents favored one of them more than the other. Now in these examples, the same word is used, circular. However, what does the meaning of circular have to do with this sentence? Well, as used in this context, a circular letter, circular means a letter or an advertisement that was sent to you in the mail. But in the case of the second sentence, circular here, as used to describe an argument, might mean that this argument continues to go round and round or always returns to the point that it first started. In other words, this argument never really reaches a solution. Let's take a look at another example of a homonym. And again, a homonym is a word that has multiple meanings but is oftentimes spelled the same and sound alike. Let's look at sentence 1. The two friends who had just met each other that summer exchanged addresses and agreed to keep in touch before returning home. And in sentence 2, Julia addresses my father as Mr. Stevens when they meet. Well, in the first sentence, addresses is being used to refer to a specific location or a place where someone lives. But in this second example, to address someone is like a manner of speaking to someone. Now that we've established that context is important, without it, it will be difficult to determine word meaning. So let's look at the different types of context clues there are. To begin, you have the definition type context clue. And then you have a restatement or synonym context clue and a contrast or antonym clue. Let's look at an example of a definition context clue. In Britain, they call the trunk of a car the boot. All right, well, in this sentence, you can infer that the word trunk means a boot because in Britain, they call the trunk of a car the boot. It is exactly stated in the sentence. You can find the answer or the definition right in the text. Let's look at this example. What does home goods mean? Well, the home goods department, she directed the confused customer, is where you will find the pots, pans, and silverware. I can infer in this sentence that home goods must mean pots, pans, and silverware if the department lady directed the confused customer in that direction or specified that they would be able to find these things in that department. Authors sometimes include synonyms to make sure that their meaning is clear. The synonym or a comparison might be included in list form. For example, you might have words like gregarious, sociable, and friendly. They all mean basically the same thing. Or those synonyms might be included with the word or beside the word. So look at this example or the first one here. When my brother found out that he was going to the state championship, he was ecstatic or thrilled. In this case, ecstatic means thrilled. How do I know that? Well, he was ecstatic or thrilled. The word thrilled is next to the word ecstatic. And then I see the word or. So that means that I could use either the word ecstatic or thrilled in order to explain how the brother was feeling. Look at the second example. The annual bazaar is scheduled for the last day of school. It's always a fun festival. In this example, the definition of the word bazaar is restated right within the same proximity of each other. So, bazaar, it's always a fun festival. I can infer that bazaar here means a fun festival. And lastly, antonym context clues or contrast context clues. This is when the clues offer nearby words with opposite meanings. You might see them paired with other words like unlike or as opposed to, different from, in contrast with. Sometimes you might see them that way. In the case of these two examples here, let's look at the first one. You look pretty content about it. Not like you're all bent out of shape at all, he noted. Well, I can tell that content must mean the opposite of all bent out of shape. And I can infer that because of this word not. In the second example, no, that didn't literally happen, she said. I was speaking figuratively. So, again, I can infer that the word figuratively here is the opposite of the word literally. How do I know that? Because she's saying no here. Now that we've taken a look at some examples, Let's practice what you've learned.